Hi everyone. Um, the kids and the husband are out golfing. Oh, yeah. Even the 5-year-old golfs. He just likes to putt, but that's okay. He's learning. Anywho, and I went to the hair salon, so that's why you see my updo a little different. I haven't pressed my hair. I haven't straightened my hair since March. So anyway, my review today is how to be an anti-racist. I think it's a really interesting read because I'm not really understanding who his audience is per se, because it seems as if there are moments where he's really kind of talking to the Black community and talking about like how we ourselves need to check our own racism, and that's through like colorism, the African versus African American or Black, and how we have a growing tension there. We both have essentially the premise of this book is really to try to understand that racism is a construct. Just as race is a construct, racism has been a construct in which we all kind of live in. We all have these prejudices against one another that has been created by this white supremacy, and so we perpetuate it within things that are supposed to be as meaningless as a joke, or we perpetuate it in something larger, by outwardly realizing that there's this construct in which one race is benefited versus another. And so we have these names that are sometimes problematic. We have these beliefs that could be even positive beliefs about a race, or we have things that are negative. Colorism becomes a problem. I'm not sure if any of you saw Dark Girls a few years ago. There's a remake, Dark Girls 2, that has been on OWN a few times, and I'm going to say that I watched Dark Girls 2, and there are moments that did break my heart, especially when some of the dark girls were crying about how they've been treated because of how dark their skin is. And the thing is that colorism is a hard topic, because I've been kids are mean and kids are cruel, and so I've at one point have been joked about because of the way that I talk. It's like, and even when, as a kid, when people talk about the way that I talk, I was like, my mother was a Latin major. You think I was going to be coming out here speaking anything else? Stop it. And I used to just be so angry when my mother would correct my language all the time. And, I do it. So it's like, it is what it is. And I used to do it to my godson a lot. And when he was little, and he was just so frustrated, he was like, I'm not going to talk anymore. And it's like, okay. Well, what you are going to do is you're going to speak like you have some sense, right? And I realized that that framing is solely based on what we believe of acceptability, and I get that. And so he even talks about that idea, is that we teach our children to really not embrace part of their culture because we're so busy trying to teach them respectability. And I mean, I don't know what to say about that, because I can't, I teeter on that because at least, when I was growing up, my mother refused to do a press, and so that's the reason why I had a relaxer, which, I mean, I regret having a relaxer, but my hair was always in braids. My hair was always, nicely combed, like every single day. And so when my daughter was growing up, I kind of didn't do that. And it became even a conversation between me and some of my family members, like, why don't you why do you let her do an afro? And it's like, what's wrong with an afro? She likes afros. Like, you need to comb that girl's hair. I did. It's an afro. And so I think that's something that we really do need to consider. Why is it on today of the Crown Act, why is it that an afro is not an acceptable form of hair? I don't get it. So but I also realize that my mother talks about, the different, colorism, and how she was always picked on, but my mother would fight. So that limited the amount of picking on that she was received. And, because she was light skinned, and my daughter is lighter than me. And I think that there is a level of privilege in having lighter skin, and and people, and we can see that in statistically. But at the same token, I have also been limited too. But I think that's the thing about colorism, is that it really pits lighter versus darker versus medium versus, because I'm not light enough to pass by far. And I mean, and one of the things that he brings up, which I think is a poignant one, because I've had the same question: where are you from? But I don't take it as much of an insult as he took it more as an insult, where people were really trying to plug and pierce where he was from, as if success is only deemed by your location and your ancestry. I don't know. I think that the book is a really interesting read. I think Dark Girls 2 is a really interesting one. And I think it all kind of depends on the age in which you're being raised, because by the time I was coming to college, being dark was a lot more popular and becoming a lot more accepted. And so it was, so that was a really interesting limitation. But at the same token, I've come to this conclusion. I realize I'm not going to deny there's privilege that is baked in to society because of complexion. I get that, and I'm not going to even dispute that. But on the other hand, at the end of the day, there's prejudice against black folks. And so there's a privilege in which is why I do not fault anyone. My mother and I go back and forth on this because, some of her cousins made a decision to pass. And I do not fault anyone who makes the decision to pass, because because I can understand their positioning and their reasoning for making that decision, because there is privilege in complexion. And if you want to try to advance in America through passing, then, that's your choice. And who am I to judge? I get it. And you know what, that honestly is, it's, their goal is to try to make their life easier. And I don't fault that. My mother is like, no. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I do think that the How to Be an Anti-Racist, I would definitely encourage you to pick it up, because I think it's a great read. Again, I'm not sure who the audience is for, because I think there's a lot of areas in the book that really only speak to a black experience more so than a white audience or a brown audience or any other outside audience. But but I do think that Latinos would understand some of the insideness of the book, because they have the same type of struggle when it comes to where you're from, and the inner racism of colorism within Latinos. So that is a definite. We don't talk enough about colorism within the Latino population, and I think that that's an unfortunate thing, and we should. Anywho, pick up the book, go watch Dark Girls 2 by Own, and I think that's it. I'm a little cherishing the moment of being alone. Have a great afternoon. Bye.